I want to share a remarkable story about a young boy named Ethan, whose life was forever changed by an extraordinary and terrifying experience. This isn't just any story. It's one that touches on the very essence of what it means to be human, to have a body and a spirit. Ethan's journey offers a glimpse into something beyond our everyday understanding, a certainty about the afterlife that few can claim to have. Let me take you through what happened to Ethan on that fateful day, an event that reshaped his perspective on life and death. Ethan was just a child when this incident occurred. He was spending a carefree day at his cousin's house, a place where he often played and felt at home. As children do, he wandered around, exploring the little things that caught his eye. On a small table, his cousin had set up a tiny tea set, the kind little kids use for pretend play. The teapot in the set was filled to the brim with a striking blue liquid. To Ethan, it looked fascinating, almost inviting. Not knowing any better, he poured himself a cup of this mysterious fluid. Without a second thought, he took a big gulp, swallowing it down in one go. But the moment the liquid touched his insides, Ethan realized he had made a terrible mistake. Almost instantly, a burning sensation erupted within him. It felt as though his stomach was on fire, a pain so intense that he couldn't think of anything else. Panicked, Ethan rushed to the kitchen sink, hoping that water might ease the agony. He scooped up handfuls of water, drinking as much as he could, desperate for relief. But the pain only worsened. Within moments, he started vomiting violently. What came out was horrifying: blood, the strange blue liquid, and stomach bile. His small body couldn't handle the trauma, and soon everything around him faded to black. Ethan lost consciousness, collapsing in a heap as the world slipped away. The next thing Ethan knew, he was in a hospital. His father was there, holding him tightly, his voice filled with desperation as he spoke to a nurse. They were in a frantic rush to get Ethan back into a hospital bed. He drifted in and out of consciousness, barely able to make sense of what was happening around him. Through the haze, he caught snippets of conversation. The medical staff mentioned something about copper sulfate, a toxic substance. They said his stomach would need to be pumped immediately to remove the poison from his system. As they laid him down on the bed, something extraordinary happened. Something that would change Ethan's understanding of life forever. Suddenly, Ethan found himself above his own body. It wasn't a dream or a hallucination. He was fully aware, fully awake, but detached from the physical form lying on the hospital bed below. In this state, he felt no pain, no fear, nothing but an overwhelming sense of peace. It was a calmness that he had never experienced before, and hasn't felt since. It was as if all the chaos and suffering of the physical world had melted away, leaving behind only serenity. Ethan hovered there, observing the scene unfolding beneath him with a strange clarity. From this vantage point, Ethan watched as a team of doctors and nurses worked frantically to save his life. They moved with urgency, their voices tense as they tried to revive him. He could distinctly hear one of the medical staff shout, "Hold him! He's coming around!" And just like that, with a heavy thud, Ethan felt himself pulled back into his body. The peaceful state vanished in an instant, replaced by a stark, jarring reality. He was back in his physical form, and the contrast was overwhelming. Panic set in immediately. The doctors had placed a suction tube down his throat to pump his stomach, and Ethan felt as though he couldn't breathe. The sensation was suffocating, and the fear was unlike anything he had ever known. For several minutes during this ordeal, Ethan was clinically dead. It was long enough that the hospital authorities felt compelled to recommend a police investigation. They needed to ensure that what had happened to Ethan wasn't the result of intentional poisoning. The idea that someone might have deliberately harmed him was unthinkable, but the severity of the situation demanded caution. Thankfully, It was later determined that this was a tragic accident, a result of a child's curiosity and a dangerous substance left within reach. But the experience left a lasting mark on Ethan, not just physically but emotionally and spiritually. The physical toll of the incident was horrific. Ethan's body had been through an unimaginable ordeal. Vomiting blood and poison, losing consciousness, and having his stomach pumped were experiences no child should ever endure. The pain was excruciating, and the recovery was slow. For days he remained in the hospital, under close observation as doctors monitored his condition. His family was by his side, shaken to their core by how close they had come to losing him. Ethan's father, in particular, couldn't hide his anguish. He stayed with Ethan every moment he could, holding his hand, whispering words of comfort, and praying for his recovery. But beyond the physical suffering, something profound emerged from this near-death experience. Ethan came away with a deep, unshakable knowledge about life and what lies beyond it. When he was above his body in that state of pure peace, he understood that physical pain is temporary. No matter how intense or unbearable it may seem in the moment, it doesn't last forever. What comes after, he believes, is something far greater, a state of calm and freedom from all earthly struggles. This realization changed Ethan in ways that are hard to put into words. It gave him a perspective that most people don't gain until much later in life, if ever. Before this incident, Ethan was like any other child, full of energy, curious about the world, and unaware of life's deeper mysteries. Death was a concept he might have heard about, but couldn't truly grasp. It was something distant, something that happened to others, not something he needed to think about. But after coming so close to losing his life, Ethan's outlook shifted. He no longer fears death in the way many people do. He knows it's inevitable, a part of the human experience, but he also believes it's not the end. What he felt in those moments outside his body convinced him that there is something more, something beautiful waiting on the other side. This experience also made Ethan more reflective. As he grew older, he often thought back to that day at his cousin's house. The memory of the blue liquid in the teapot, the burning pain, the hospital room, and the out-of-body experience stayed with him. It wasn't something he could easily forget, nor did he want to. It became a defining moment in his life, a reminder of how fragile life can be, and how important it is to cherish every day. Ethan began to value the small things more. The laughter of his family, the warmth of the sun on his skin, the simple joy of being alive. He understood that these moments, however ordinary, are precious because they can be taken away in an instant. Ethan's family, too, was deeply affected by what happened. His parents became more protective, more cautious about the dangers that could lurk in everyday life. They made sure that hazardous substances were kept far out of reach, not just in their own home, but whenever Ethan visited relatives or friends. The incident was a wake-up call for everyone, a stark reminder that accidents can happen when least expected. They also became more attentive to Ethan's emotional well-being. They could see that he was processing something profound, something they couldn't fully understand. They encouraged him to talk about his feelings, to share what he remembered from that day, even if it was hard for them to hear. In the years that followed, Ethan's story became something he shared with close friends and family, not as a tale of tragedy, but as one of hope and insight. He wanted others to know that even in the darkest moments, there can be light. He often described the peace he felt during his out-of-body experience, hoping it might comfort those who feared death or who were grieving the loss of a loved one. Ethan didn't claim to have all the answers about the afterlife, but he knew what he had experienced was real. It wasn't something he took lightly, and he didn't tell his story for attention. He shared it because he believed it could help others find a sense of peace or perspective. Financially, the incident placed a burden on Ethan's family. The hospital bills were significant, amounting to thousands of dollars, around $10,000 in total for the emergency care, the hospital stay, and the follow-up treatments. It was a sum that his parents struggled to cover, as they weren't prepared for such an unexpected expense. They had to dip into their savings and even borrow money from relatives to manage the costs. But to them, no amount of money mattered compared to having Ethan back, safe and alive. They would have paid 100 times more if it meant saving their son. Physically, Ethan made a full recovery, though it took time. The poison had done damage to his stomach lining, and for weeks after the incident, he had to be careful about what he ate. His weight dropped during this period, going down to about 25 kilograms, which was low for a child his age. Slowly, with proper care and nutrition, he regained his strength. His height at the time was just over 1 meter, a typical size for a young boy, but he felt smaller, more vulnerable after everything he had been through. Over time, though, Ethan grew stronger, both in body and spirit. The hospital where Ethan was treated was located about 5 kilometers from his cousin's house, a short distance that felt like an eternity during the frantic drive to get him help. Every centimeter of that journey was filled with fear for his parents, who didn't know if their son would survive. But they made it in time, and the quick actions of the medical team saved Ethan's life. The memory of that drive, of holding their unconscious child, stayed with his parents for years, a reminder of how close they came to tragedy. Today, Ethan carries this experience as a part of who he is. It's not something that defines him entirely, but it has shaped his worldview in a profound way. He often thinks about how different his life might have been if that day had ended differently. But instead of dwelling on the what-ifs, Ethan chooses to focus on the lessons he learned. He knows that life is fragile, that pain is temporary, and that there is something greater beyond this physical existence. This knowledge gives him a quiet strength, a sense of purpose that guides him through life's challenges. Ethan's story is a powerful reminder to all of us. It shows that even in the face of unimaginable hardship, there can be moments of clarity and peace. It teaches us to value the time we have, to hold our loved ones close, and to face the unknown with courage. What happened to Ethan wasn't just a near-death experience. It was a life-altering event that gave him a glimpse into the mysteries of existence. And through his story, we too can find a deeper understanding of what it means to live and to die.